What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bulletproof Mindset, your go-to podcast for health, fitness, and entertainment. We are back to our usual, regularly uploading schedule. I hope you enjoyed the last 12 days. The 12 days of Liftmas is over. If you are listening to some episodes and you haven't listened to them all, totally cool. My whole point of doing that was to at least give some food for thought, still no pun intended, that to think a bit differently, especially if you're trying to stay committed to your fitness and your health goals over these next coming weeks. Now, if you made it all the way to the Christmas episode, obviously released on Christmas Day, I don't know how many listens that's particularly going to get, but if you do listen to it, there's a wee Christmas special or a Christmas nugget, then only you guys who listen to that episode, there is a present in that episode just for you. I'm not releasing it anywhere else just yet. So maybe if there's an episode that you want to listen to, it's only 15 minutes long, go check it out. Anyway, we've obviously been rinsing the topics over the last 12 days, so I wanted to keep this one a little bit more lighthearted. And I thought, well, what's some kind of trending things that people are speaking about just now? And the most recent hype in the fitness space has obviously been Hyrox. Now, I don't want to be like the typical Hyrox wanker just now. I know that's a phrase that's often thrown about, but Glasgow Hyrox has been announced, and it's great to see many people, a lot of people signing up to this. Now, some of you may know, I've obviously done a couple now, and if you've been on this journey of podcasting with me, you'll know I've went from slagging it to being interested in it to being committed to it to doing it. And now I'm at the stage where I'm like, I want to see how well I can do in this sport. For me, it's scratched the itch of competing. I fucking love competing. What it hasn't done just yet, though, is I'm not like fully committed to it. In fact, I tell a lie. The whole reason I want to do this episode is because I haven't really spoken much about what I'm doing for, I think in 6 weeks from this episode, or 5 weeks from this episode, I'm going to be competing in Manchester with Scott Allen, who we had on the podcast, and we're going for a top spot. We're really going to race for number one, or that is the plan, right? And I'm very much committed to that, but I want to kind of take you back and walk you through my story with this as to why, because I think there's quite interesting points that you can all take away from this, and it's only kind of hit me more when Scott asked me, well, he didn't ask me to do it, like I asked him. So, but it was when he said that he's like, what does it take to win that? And that had never crossed my mind. It was something you thought of, but I knew the training going into it, I was never really going to make the cut in terms of that training. So this whole year, the big thing for me this year was running. I was a great runner in high school. I was kind of always falling into that top 10 or top 5 and even won some cross-country races in high school. And I loved that. I loved the competing. I loved so many people start and then just one person wins it all. I also liked sport. And then as we got towards the back end of high school, then I started liking the gym a bit more, started doing press-ups and sit-ups. And some of you guys may have heard this story before, but ultimately started seeing changes to my physique, and that's where I got obsessed with. So anything I was reading, anything I was kind of diving into, running killed your gains. So I didn't really care about it because I had stopped competing. So I stopped running and then picked it up this year. So this has been my first year of kind of try to consistently run, and I've maybe averaged, taking out the last couple of months, maybe averaged like 2 runs a week. That's probably where the average is sat, and I've not ran any longer than 10k up until the point of me sitting down and recording this a couple of days before Christmas. Now, if it's after Christmas and you're following me on Instagram, you're like, Dale, talking shit, I've just seen you do a half marathon in Christmas. What are you talking about? That's my plans. I've told Jillian, and we're going to wake up on Christmas Day and we're going to go, Cooper, you love being outside. Jill, let's go get our running shoes on and go run a half marathon just for fun. Who would have thought I'd be saying that? But essentially, like, my running had to improve, because when it comes to Hyrox, the vast majority of that racing, there is an endurance and running element. Regardless if you're a great runner or a poor runner, you need good endurance and good fitness levels when it comes to your runs. And there's 2 sort of reasons as to why. So for me, the first one that I done, very arrogant going into it, I was running as I said, the plan was to run 3 or 4 times a week. in reality, I ended up running 2. Was kind of half committed to it. The whole reason was to have a bit of fun, and more so have a bit of fun with my wife that we're doing it together. And I knew our fitness was good. I knew the style of training that we do when it comes to compound lifts and lifting weights inside the gym, and not being very stagnant in our approach to the reps that we do. I knew all of that was great. So I knew fitness compared to your average person, we would do all right. And we did. We finished it in an hour 15. And I know an hour 15 now in Hyrox is probably considered about average, well, maybe even just above average. But back then, that was a really, really strong score. And that got us in the top. Was that in the top? Might have even been the top 50 then. So we done that. And then after Hyrox, the typical thing when you've booked an event, the event keeps you kind of blinkered and dedicated towards doing that. When we stopped doing it, then we just stopped running. And then we kind of ran a wee bit sporadically. But then we ran for the sake of getting the dopamine hit with running. And we loved it because it was a great time for us both to go out, run together, and then run with my dog, Cooper. And actually started to love it more and more and more. So we knew there was going to be another Madrid event. And the one thing I have regret about not doing Glasgow last year or earlier this year, was it was great to go over to Madrid, but there was no Scottish following there. It was just us and a bunch of Spanish people, and that was kind of, we had some buzz, but nobody understood what we were saying, or nobody was from where we were. So this time we booked Madrid to go again in October, and we got to see a lot more people from the area that we're from, and that was quite cool. I must admit, I get some buzz from that. So anyway, long story short, the goal was to always do a UK event, and Glasgow has only been announced a couple of weeks ago. So I entered into the ballot for me and Gillian for Manchester at the end of January, and my balloted tickets came back. I got in, but I got 2 male tickets, and albeit it's the same weight, unfortunately Jill obviously can't do it because she is not a male, as well, obviously. So I reached out to Scott. Scott was retiring from professional boxing, and we've been getting stuck into this training. We've had just shy of 11 weeks to prep for this. And when I was building the prep, I thought, well, Scott's a runner. He can run like a good pace. I think he runs miles, so a good 6 minutes, 6:30 mile for a good distance. And I thought, right, let's do it together. And he was obviously right up for it. And I've been building out the training program for this on the lead up for the next couple of weeks. Now, what's fascinating with this is the training program that I built this time round was, I've got 2 prior races under my belt, so I kind of know where my own weaknesses lie. And if I'm being honest, see the strength stations, everyone's going to be different here, but see the strength stations for me, it's a bit of a doddle. The sled push, the sled pull, like, I never really trained those exercises that much because I knew I was strong going into those stations. Things like the ergs, I think you get adapted to it. The wall balls as well. It's not a strength component for me. It's a fitness and endurance component. So that's been the biggest difference I made with both myself and Gillian doing it in February and then doing it again in October. And then after finishing it at the end of October and now training for this one in January, my fitness levels have only gotten better. But see, the one downside that's happening, this is why I want to talk about this, is, man, body dysmorphia is started to rise a little bit. Now, I feel I've got a good handle on my body dysmorphia, particularly over the last couple of years. I spoke about a story before, like for my wedding, obviously wanted to look good and was in great shape. I was pulling good numbers across my compound lifts, and I was going 10 weeks out from my wedding, 9 weeks, treating it like a bodybuilding show. And then I realised there was a comment from a client that said to me, like, why are you, like, what's the whole reason behind that? Because to me, you look in incredible shape. And I had to step back a little bit, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I can see my 6-pack, or my 8-pack coming through. I feel lean. I'm eating a good amount of food. I'm not hungry on the food that I'm eating. I'm comfortable. I am full of energy, and my lifts, and I feel strong inside the gym. So to lose more and more body fat, they would only compromise that part. So anyway, that was a time for me to break through that cycle of my body dysmorphia. And don't get me wrong, I don't always nail it. There's times where I'll say a comment, but really it's just that ingrained joke that's within you. But I tell you what, more so since September and running more and more and more, I usually sit about 96 to 100 kilos. 100 kilos, if I'm close to 100 kilos, then I'm still lifting weights, but my nutrition has been a little bit more relaxed and I'm just allowing myself to have more food. Usually it's eating out a wee bit more. So October, where I weighed in around about 95, 96 kilos. And as of recently, I've been down at 90 kilos. Now, the psychological part with that might be that obviously I've lost 6 kilos of body weight. And I know because I'm not really lifting weights consistently, there is an element of that's muscle. And I'm looking at my arms and my shoulders, I'm not as broad. And even like I've had clients say to me, how mad is this? I always wear shorts. It's actually mad that I'm wearing jeans now. Just came back from, I was out for dinner. Wear shorts, PT sessions. One of my clients said to me, man, your legs are looking really skinny. And I've always been known as a guy that has good quads and good calves because I fucking trained them hard for years and years, and I never really missed that types of training. But that hit, that was like, wow, I'm getting skinny. But you know what? This is all part of the game just now. The aesthetic component, whether I've got quote unquote skinnier legs than what I did 6 months ago, I'm faster. I was running a 15 kilometre pace and I struggled to hold on to a 4:30. Now I can hold a 3:30 for about 800 metres, and then that dips up to like a 3:50. So I can do a kilometre and a 3:50 in those 1 kilometre splits with a couple of minutes rest. Distance wise, I feel pretty comfortable. I can run up to the 60-minute mark without feeling gassed out. I'm not ran any longer than 60 minutes because to me, some people say like if you can do a half marathon, then you can do a good Hyrox, but I think a half marathon is still a bit too much. I think you run for the time that you think you're going to get, and for me, I want to get under 60 minutes. When me and Jill done it again in October, we shaved 5 minutes off our time, 6 minutes off our time, and that was an element of, okay, we got more efficient, we knew what we were doing, and we didn't fuck up some of the stations that we did earlier on, and we just knew to be quicker where some of our transitions were with what we were doing. But ultimately, we were running, and we never ran any longer than a 10k. Running wise, I don't know, man. I think you get over that 10k mark, then there has to be some sacrifice to some muscle mass, because you can't be the beefcake. And I say the beefcake or the tank. You can still look like a tank, because aesthetics is all very subjective. It's all opinionated. There's no kind of real hard truths other than measurements of whose biceps are bigger. You know what I mean? So, but you can still look. I know I'm in good shape. I know I'm in great shape considered to the average population, but it's all very much subjective, and this is a weird thing about having a performance goal just now. So, as I said, I want to talk about this because it's interesting, because there has been points and elements where it's like, man, I need to go in and hit some quad dominant exercises just to get a pump there, or I need to do bicep curls just to get my arms to look a wee bit bigger. That thought creeps into my mind, but ultimately, I mean, the bicep curls, there's maybe an argument there for it, because I felt my biceps straining on farmer's carry, so I knew that was an area that I wanted to strengthen a little bit more, but it's not for muscle mass now, which is weird, so weird to say. It's genuinely for functionality in a fitness race competition. And I know some of you guys listening to this might be thinking, that is mad that you're having those thoughts, because I kind of see you're in great shape, or maybe you don't, you're like, nah, you're in fucking shit shape. I don't care what your opinion is, because it's me. And my goals have shifted slightly, and they'll shift slightly again because I've got Athletics coming up next year, and that is, I guess, more strength-based. You guys who think Hyrox is a strength sport, it's not. Like, I hate to break it to you. The only kind of two exercises that you need more strength on is the sled push and the sled pull. And think about it, when they talk about pro, that's the only difference in weight. It's the weight that goes on the sled. Yes, the wall balls goes up a couple of kilos, but it's generally nothing. Again, that's more endurance with, I guess, how long you can endure the pain and the feeling of doing 100 wall balls. But the sled push and the sled pull is where everyone falls over if they don't have that foundational strength. Because it's like, you go into pro weight, it's like that's a hard going. And I'd like to do a pro this year or next year. 2025. I would like to do a pro. Don't know if I'll do it as a doubles, don't know if I'll do it as a solos, but I do fancy the idea of going into that and kind of feeling the hurt from the whole competition side, and it's weird, isn't it? It's so weird. So this is it. I was saying in one of the previous episodes that competing is a hard thing, right? So this is the first time that I'm going into a race, and I was like, I am here to try and win this. Whether I do or whether I don't, I guess will happen on the day, but I'm going to make sure I've left nothing on the table when it comes to my training and when it comes to the day of the event. Now, anything can happen, right? Could win it, could come last. But ultimately, see, as long as I know I've gave it everything, it's going to be a learning experience, and that's the most important thing for me. I think it'd be I do have a goal to have a flag. I think it'd be cool to have a first, second or third. Ideally, we all want the first, right? Nobody really cares about the second or third. And I could do what we all do and book a flight for a name of a city that none of us can pronounce, where hardly any people show up, and get a not so fast time compared to the UK ones. But this one, I was like, nah, like I want to try and get this on home soil. I want to try and get it on the UK. So Manchester is where it's going to happen for me and Scott. Now, I did want to share, because I came across this website the other day. For you guys who are in this, if you're not, then I'm sorry, because this is what this episode's about, but it might consider where you can see different timings and all that sort of stuff. So there is have I just closed that down? No, there is a website called Hyresult, which is HYRESULT.com, and it's basically a combination of all the stats from every race into one, from athletes to venues to world records and vice versa. So what I can do here is I can go into locations, and let's say you're doing Glasgow, I can type in up the top right, GLA, and there's been 2 events in Glasgow. Sorry, there's been 1 event so far in Glasgow, and that was in 2 events in Glasgow, 1 in 2023 in February, right? Just for a laugh, let's click on this. So we're going to click on the event. Let's run through them, right? Rankings, 974 people finished it in 2023, and the top space was Jack Dearden, which I think he's still in the Elite 15, he might not be, but he got a 57-minute in the men's open. The top 5 was 57, 57, 59, 59, 1 hour. That was in the men's, just a Hyrox men's open. We then look at the women, 442 people. We have Kirsty Oldham, who won that with an hour 6. Again, this is the open categories. People are getting this with pro weights, which is nuts, because it's only just a few years ago. Lucy Proctor, she was 5th. And then, yeah, the top 5, 106, 106, 106, 106. Man, that was a close race, because there's literally 30 seconds between the top 5 spots. Again, if we go to, well, I'm going to be doing doubles men, right? So before I even click and look at this, doubles men for Manchester, which will come on to in a little sec, the calibre of people, man, I think there's 200 people that are finishing a sub 60. And the sub 60 is considered to be like, you're in the, maybe not, I know they've got the Elite 15, so elite's not the right word, but the top percentile of the sport for that particular category. So we're going to click in rankings. Holy shit, these guys actually done pretty good. So we have John Carlisle and Connor Harkness, which also met, I think that's the guys from Always Ready, who were on Christian's podcast. They used the studio a couple of months back. They got 52 minutes and 34 seconds. Second place was 53 minutes 49, and third place was 53 minutes 51. So again, a very, very competitive race. And again, that was the Opens double. Right, so what you can do with this, basically, so we can look back at the most recent event, which is in Glasgow this year, and we can click on, let's say, the category that I'm competing in. We can go into the, I don't know, like, let's just go into Hyrox doubles men, right? Back into rankings. Okay, top spot again, Big John. He's changed up his workout partner. He's with Ryan Adamson, so that was John Carlisle, and he got 52 minutes 52. Now, what you can then do is analyse this, and you can go into a deeper level of data. So we have an overview, we've got running total, and those guys have sat in the top 1.1% of their overall running. Now, what we can do is break down the runs. We can see run 1 all the way to run 8, and you can see where they've ranked in that first run compared to other run 1s on all the different places across where these events are held. Now, that's where it can be, because there's literally someone who's ran a 2:30 on that first run, and they are 0.1% in the whole of Hyrox racing. Mental. I'd imagine they never finished too strongly. Can you click in? No, you can't click and see who it is. But ultimately, you can see that they were in the top 17% for the first run. Second run, they were in the top 1%. Third run, they were in the top 1%, so on and so forth. From here, you can then go into the workouts, and this is what I like. So you can then see what the best time is for sled drives and start to reverse engineer some of your data points or some of your stats when you're working out. Now, if you haven't done one before, I'd recommend just getting one under your belt, get a feel for some stats of where you're at, because looking at a number is different on the race day. When you're fatigued, you're running into that station, you're doing the station, and then you have to run again and repeating that for the duration of the race. But ultimately, you can see a breakdown. Category wise of where they're at, like they're bang in the middle for some of these things, but it's that you can just see that the consistency of showing up on every single station and not being super good at one and being average at best on some of the other ones. Like, they've shown up to every single one of these stations. They're not the fastest, but they're in the top 1%. So ski erg, you then go on to your sled push, they were actually 25% or in the 25 percentile. Now 10 seconds is the difference between the category below them and vice versa. So as I said, this is a great website, that I came across. Definitely check it out. It's called High Result, as I said. I'll leave a link below so you can go have a little browse. You can search up my name and see how well I'm doing. Let's see what it says, actually. So I click on search athlete. Oh, I like that. I'm an athlete. Dale Crossar. We're all athletes. Right, so Dale Crossar. As always, there's only one Dale Crossar in the world. He has done 2 races, and he's done them both with Gillian, mixed doubles. It's funny, the first one we done, we were in the 16 to 29 category, even though we were both 30. Anyway, so we got 1 hour 15 the first time, 1 hour 15:30 the first time, and 1 hour 11:30 the second time. So shave 4 minutes off our time. If I go into achievements, collected patches, I quite like that, so you can click on it. Collected patches. I've collected 2 Madrid patches. Come on. 99th. We were in mixed doubles, and 35th on our age group, and then it gives us our timings and all that sort of stuff. So that's quite good to do. You can also look at the rankings of the top sport. So we can go into athletes, and we can look at the elite men and look at different profiles of everyone on there who has made the, I guess, elite category. What I really like is the world record one. So we can go into rankings and we can do all-time world record, right? So I'm just going to shout out some of them. So Hyrox Men Open, fastest time ever was by Alexander Rod, I can't say his name, but he done it in Cologne, 50 minutes and 38 seconds. Mental. And he's got a 2-minute lead, and that was in 2024. We then got the women's category. The fastest ever women's time has been, it was obviously Lucy Davis for a week, and then Sinead Bent came in the week later and competed in London and beat Lucy by a whole 30 seconds, which is mental. So the best time was 59 minutes 32. Lucy then got the world record at 59 minutes and 3 seconds, and then Sinead, terrible with names, so apologies. Sinead Bent came in at 58.47. So it's a really good website. It's good to look at. I wonder what the relays is. So the world record for Hyrox Pro Men's right now is James Kelly at 54 minutes and Hunter McIntyre at 54 minutes and 7 seconds. So very competitive for those top spots. Let's see the pro doubles just now. Pro doubles is 50 minutes and 18 seconds as well, and that was by the Michael Sandbach and Hunter McIntyre. I didn't realise that was a pro weight, but anyway. Obviously, that is one that's then been created as its own pro race. I want to see the relay. Let's see. Yeah, world record times, 47 minutes and 34 seconds for the relay. And I don't know what team that was. I think that was in Poland, which is very impressive indeed. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I wanted to make this episode a little bit light-hearted. Now, I do have a separate YouTube channel that's documenting behind the scenes when it comes to this. So check that out. It's on the Coach Crossar Bulletproof Coaching YouTube channel. I'll link it below if you want to see some behind the scenes. We've got episode 1 out. Episode 2 and 3 will be up maybe at the time that you're listening to this. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. And whether you enjoy Hyrox or not, I know a lot of people can make it their personality, but it's generally because it's that fun. It's like there's some buzz, some buzz to do. Now, I have a Hyrox controversial episode coming up, but I'm not going to say too much about that, where the norm of what goes into people's training for this, people are overdoing it. We need some solid foundation set, and the program that I would be doing for myself would be back squats, deadlifts, overhead press, and that's what I'm trying to share through this documentation, as to look what happens when someone has these great lifts as their background and how good a competitive athlete they can be. So with that being said, I'll wrap the episode up there. Enjoy your Boxing Day. Hope you got all the presents that you wanted to get, and but more importantly, hopefully you spent it with the right people and loved ones, creating the memories that you want to. Enjoy the next couple of days. I'll be back on Monday with the last episode of 2024, and if you want to give me a belated Christmas present, leave a 5-star rating on Spotify. That is the best way. Or you can subscribe to the 2 YouTube channels, Bulletproof Mindset and Bulletproof Coaching. Yeah, wrap up there. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys soon.